What's up guys, I'm back and it is the third and final part of my fuel pump upgrade install on this episode of Pistonhead Garage. So it's the next day, because I was just tired of fiddling with that thing, and I figured I got the pumps in the tank and that's good enough for tonight. So now I've had time to let the shop air out because it was reeking of fuel in here and I didn't want to do any wiring while there was fumes everywhere, especially in the trunk, because of course proper wiring requires heat shrink, and heat shrink requires a lot of heat, which either requires fire or a heat gun, both which get pretty hot, and I'm pretty sure it could easily ignite a bunch of gas fumes. So hopefully that's not going to happen because I want to get this wiring done, at least the trunk portion of it, and because the only other thing to do other than the trunk portion is I have to run a new remote line for the second relay to the front of the car for the ECU, and I'm going to do that at the same time that I'm running the wiring for my water meth, so that might be a little bit later, but at least for now we can get the trunk done and I can get the cover put back on. I think I said this already, I don't think the cover is going to fit as is. It may have to be modified a bit, but that's fine. I have a plan on how I'm going to modify it so that way I can still put the cover over the access area there in the trunk, and have it all fit and seal up nicely. So let's go back to the trunk and I'll kind of start putting together stuff, and we'll see what turns out. Okay, so I completely changed my mind on what I was going to do. I'm actually going to show you what I'm doing on the workbench rather than in the trunk, because the trunk is tight and it's dark, and the workbench you can kind of see everything. So here's what I've got. There is an existing relay in the trunk which I'm going to reuse, but I'll just show you. I'll have one here just to demonstrate, and then I'll be adding another relay for the second pump. I don't plan on fully wiring up the second pump, at least not for a while, because I'm never going to need it, at least not this year. I don't make enough power that I'll need that kind of flow, but once it's all wired up, then if I ever do need it, it's just a matter of connecting it to the ECU, or if I do get around to connecting it to the ECU, all I have to do is activate it. So anyway, to supply power to the pumps, I've got this fuse block. So this post here is my positive in. There is an 8-gauge wire that goes into my existing fuse holder in the trunk, so that'll just get bolted to here with a little ring terminal. And then I've got two 30-amp fuses here that correspond with these two screw terminals here. So pretty straightforward. Basically, power comes in here, and then I'll supply constant 12 volts to the two relays. So with these relays, I'm sure most people are familiar with how they work, but basically the two of these thicker wires, the blue and the yellow, are the ones you want to worry about. The top of the relay kind of explains how it's set up, but basically on this particular relay, when the relay is off or passive, I guess, which it is right now, whatever power you have coming in here, or whatever the connection is made between this wire and this wire. So what that means is if you have 12 volts coming in here, right now you have 12 volts coming out here, or vice versa. If you're grounding this side, then this side is going to see that ground signal as well. So when you turn the relay on and energize the coil, now you're switching whatever's here is now here. So this is what we want. We want, when the coil is active, we want the fuel pumps to turn on. So we'll hook up our blue to positive, and then this guy here will go out to the pump. Actually, it'll go out to the bulkhead connector here on the fuel hat. So either the red and white or the red and black stripe wire will get this one. And then to activate the coils, or activate the relays, the coils in the relays, we've got two different setups here. And I could just make it simpler by completely rewiring everything, but currently in the car, the relay for the fuel pump is turned on by the ECU supplying a 12 volt positive signal out to the relay, which I don't think is really that normal, but maybe I'm wrong. Normally you ground one side of the relay to switch it on, and the other side will always see 12 volts, but regardless, that's how it's set up right now. So I'm going to keep that set up the way it is. So for that relay, which we'll say is this one, I'll have my my blue positive going to the positive, and I'll have my yellow going to the bulkhead connector to the pump, and then the coil switches, which are black and white. It doesn't matter which one of these is positive, which is negative, but for the sake of keeping things as consistent as I can, I'm going to have white be my positive and black be my negative. So in the case of this relay, which is the one that's in the trunk right now, the black stays grounded to the chassis, and then this will receive my 12 volt signal from the ECU to flip it on. But this one will be different. So I'm going to have my positive teed in with my positive connection for my main power, so they'll both receive 12 volts all the time. And then the negative, I'll run a wire from here to the ECU to an auxiliary switch in the ECU, and then I can have that set to ground it when it wants to flip the second pump on. So it is a bit different. If I were looking to make things identical, I would obviously change the output on the ECU and add and rewire the relays entirely. But the other one works. The wiring is there. And it exists. It's factory wiring, so I know it's routed well, and I don't have to route more wires, so on and so forth. So that's why I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. I'm going to go ahead and put all this together in the trunk, and I'll come back when it's actually done. Okay, so it's been a couple days, but it's done to the point where I can close this video out. So I've got everything wired. It just needs to be tidied up. I just need to do some looming. I gotta find the screws for the top plate there because I don't know where those went. I've got my relays mounted and everything kind of set up over here with the fuse box. My water meth has also been kind of installed. I have my tank, and behind it is the pump. That's been done, so I gotta finish wiring it, but I installed the controller. But that's pretty much wrapped up, and then there's some wiring. Like I said, some wiring to clean the trunk up, and put some more carpet back in because I got the carpet in here. I'm gonna put the piece back in here, and on this side, probably won't have any carpet in the actual wheel well or the spare tire area here. At least not for a while, but you know how it is. So anyway. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. So hopefully everything is going to work. I don't have a wiring harness in the car right now, so I can't test it because my ECU is hooked up. So once my harness comes back, we'll hook it up, and hopefully my pumps will both run. In the meantime, I'm just going to sit here and wait and hope for the best. So if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribed to see more of the build if you aren't subscribed already. As always, I'm Garrett, and I'll catch you next time on Pistonhead Garage.